Get ready for trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. The fun starts right now. This is Daily Flash.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea Jackson.
And I am Mitch English, and this is Daily Flash. Indeed, the whole crew ready to rock and roll for you. And of course, we love hearing from you. Sweet baby James working in the Flash back room. And of course, answering all your emails.
I'm so excited to be back here, working my butt off. Like, comment, and share is what I always say. Go to our social media channels. DailyFlashShow.com is the website, and we need you guys to chime in. And plus, you know, we do have a question of the day. So I need your comments. Come on, bring it in.
All right, sounds good. And to my right is Matt Doolittle, who's got everything handled today. What's going on, man?
What's wild is we're figuring everything out back there, and getting all the communications on. And if James only had an iPhone, we'd be able to talk to him.
Right?
I'm just throwing
He's
it out
an
there.
Android guy.
Just throwing it out there.
He's
But
an Android.
you know what you can do? You can head to our website, dailyflashshow.com. There you can like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. You know what? Click that where to watch thing, and you can send it to your family and friends all over the country, all over the world, in fact, to where they can watch us. But make sure you like, subscribe, share, do all that fun stuff. And send us a note, flash@dailyflashshow.com.
Maybe we can get him on a family plan and get an extra phone for him.
I feel like we should. I
Maybe
feel
that
like
might be the
he's our
direction
little
we're
baby
going.
James.
Get him an iPhone 6.
Yeah.
My first iPhone.
My first iPhone. So some history-making news this week. In fact, probably some of the biggest news that we've had in the past decade. The hostages in Israel were freed by Hamas on October 13th, and it was huge. More than 250 were taken on October 7th, 2023. 158 actually survived. 93, unfortunately, were killed. 24 of the 28 bodies yet to be returned. That's part of the plan. These hostages who were returned yesterday, 20 of them spent 738 days in captivity. And this is some of the reunion video of them finally getting to see their loved ones after being held in captivity for more than 730 days. In all, 1,195 people were killed on October 7th.
Wow. I mean, you think about that. And then, the only thing, I guess, closest thing that we have is the Iran hostage situation that we had back in the 80s and such. And then you find out more and more about the people that were actually taken as hostage. They had some fraternal twins were in there. They were 28 years old. As far as the 20 hostages that were freed by Hamas in that latest release, they also released 4 bodies, I believe, or 2 rather, I'm sorry, 2 hostages that they weren't sure if they were still alive, and come to find out they had passed as well. And those were a 20-year-old and a 24-year-old. And then, of course, they did release the remains of 4 deceased as well.
Yeah, and part of that whole plan is that, all of those hostages, even the ones that have died, need to be returned to Israel for the next point of the plan to go on, which is Hamas agreeing to disarm. So we'll see how things go. Obviously, kind of a tenuous situation, but I have to say, I think for the first time in my lifetime, there's actually at least a day of peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is something that's happened our entire lives altogether. I guess everybody asks now, it's like, okay, well, not day of peace, what's the next step?
Next? So along with the exchange of the hostages and prisoners, an end to the fighting that has devastated that enclave for more than 2 years, the deal also calls for a big influx of money to help redevelop the Gaza Strip, which has been gripped by, of course, a severe humanitarian crisis and bombing. So, and what President Trump has done is so instrumental is that he's been able to get all of these top Middle East leaders who have billions and billions of dollars in cash to help be a part of rebuilding Gaza. So that'll be the next part. There's also a number of underground tunnels underneath the Gaza
We've heard about
Strip,
this in the Middle East. A lot of this
happens. And they're saying
happens.
that they need to be destroyed in order for things to move forward. So we'll see whether or not that happens. More than 310 miles of tunnels that they use for ammunitions and weapons smuggling. Obviously, this is where they kept a number of the hostages. It's the length of the New York subway system when you think about it. That exists underneath the Gaza Strip. Yeah.
You also, we are Daily Flash is on the Armed Forces Network, and our heroes in the military obviously are going to be charged with that and
helping
be able to
out,
get this area back. I mean, and again, we hear about they've always been fighting their entire lives, but it's something huge. that has happened, and it's a bipartisan agreement that this is a historic moment in our lives.
Both Democrats, obviously Republicans coming to the support of President Trump for him wanting to make this peaceful transaction. He's also decided about a board of peace. He wants to put a board of peace to help kind of keep the peace in the Middle East region. Time magazine, which is a shocker, is actually putting President Trump on the cover of their November issue.
Let's look at that.
His triumph.
Turn it a little bit. There's a little glare.
Sorry. Let's see
There
if
we
that
go.
helps.
There you
But there you go. That's the November cover of Time magazine, giving all credit to President Trump and what he was able to do with regard to this peace deal.
Yeah, and you hear a lot of the media, and of course, a lot of them are going after that. And it's, we're also at a time what's happening here domestically. A lot of people don't want to give him the accolades, but this did happen in his term, and he gets to put it under his belt that he had done this as well. And so this is, going to be remarkable where we see a movement from this point forward. Will they go back to fighting? I don't know. It seems like they always have been in our entire lives. This small area of land is so, caused so many issues.
But I think there has come a point where everything's been exhausted. Like there's nothing left. So, and he sees, what I think is great about him is that he sees the potential in everything. Like he sees the potential of this to be a great booming economy. And why shouldn't it be? Why shouldn't these people have peace and prosperity? So he's hoping and banking on other leaders of the Middle East to step in and do their part.
I think of when I lived in Oklahoma, as the first time I ever felt an earthquake, right? And it was scary because, but you figure, the ground's moving and such. And I think about the people during these times when there's war, they just grew up with that. They're so used to it.
Yes.
They don't, it's just every day, a building got blown up. And we can't really fathom that. And I bring that up to show you how bad that situation is over there, and especially with Hamas being as deadly as they are.
And for those beautiful survivors who were able to make it through that 738 days, those moments of them reuniting with their family were really breathtaking. And if you didn't shed a tear, then I don't know what. I mean, there were some really emotional moments with those folks finally getting to see one another and not knowing. I think that's the part that was so difficult for so many of them, the not knowing part, if they'd ever see them again.
And that's the scary part.
100%.
So it's great to see these families being reunited after this such a long time. So big day, of course, happening in the world. We've got some other trending news stories out there. Cameras are everywhere. Keep that in mind.
That is true.
I want you to stop and look at your screen here when we tell you about this helicopter that crashed on a highway in Northern California. It wounded 3 people. How they survived, I don't know. But I want you to watch your screen right now. Helicopter was returning from taking a patient to a Sacramento hospital when they experienced some kind of emergency. A pilot, nurse, and paramedic taken to the hospital with them. Cops say that it was a miracle no one on the highway was hurt. This is just one angle. There's several different angles of this thing crashing all together, and it's scary stuff. So we always complain about cameras. First thing something happens, somebody has a camera out. Well, this is another situation like this. This is also coupled by, I believe, a helicopter. More and more helicopter safety, and thinking here where they were trying to help somebody.
Yeah, a medical helicopter. And then they just had one crash in Huntington Beach, and that was a stunt pilot that was piloting that helicopter.
And he got so close to that hotel, I believe it was, but it crashed into it.
Yes.
And you look at it like, man, they are lucky that this thing just didn't explode.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And that I don't think very many people on the ground were affected, which is unbelievable. That's a miracle.
I have a long-standing paranoia of flying in helicopters.
Oh, really?
Now. Well, ever since Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But I've heard a fighter jet pilot say, if you get in a helicopter, that's on you. It's the most unstable piece of machinery that's in the air. And he's like, no, I'm good. I'll take my F-18.
I used to go up in a helicopter every day to do traffic.
Oh, that's right, you did.
In San Diego, yeah. So, thanking my lucky stars that all went well during that time. There were a couple of, close calls,
that'd be
but
fun. As she sits there, she's a Emmy winning producer. She won't tell you that.
Fancy.
For that, right?
Where's our Emmy?
For traveling?
Yeah, for traveling.
See, I know. Yeah. I found out her middle name today after 25 years. I just found out Jackson's middle name. I might have known it before, but I've forgotten it because I was making fun of your middle name.
Yeah, thanks.
I was saying your middle name, rather.
And I couldn't remember. I can't believe I didn't remember yours. Andrew. I should
Andrew,
know that.
yours is Lynn.
Of
there
course.
You go.
All right, even a crime scene can't cool off the hot New York real estate market, believe it or not. It's known as the House of Horrors, where a pair of crypto brothers kidnapped and tortured an Italian businessman. Suspects signed a 1-year lease for the 8-bedroom townhome just a month before police say they tortured an Italian for his Bitcoin password. And it's getting a flood of interest from would-be renters, despite the crime scene still in need of a cleanup, believe it or not. The rent? $75,000 a month.
Wow. Yeah, the location's everything. I think if somebody died in the house or whatever, you think about it, but obviously I'm not, making light of this or whatever, but the atrocities that happen inside of here has to have some kind of bad mojo around it.
No, you start a podcast.
Juju. Yeah.
You start a podcast in there. That's what you do.
That's
like
what you do, man.
It's a whole murder podcast.
But for $75,000 a month, it better be a good podcast.
Yeah, get Adam Carolla.
Yeah, I have a hard time listening to New Yorkers complain about the cost of living when some of them are willing to pay $75,000 a month for rent. Rent.
It's hard to say that. You're 100%
For rent.
right.
You're not buying the place, you're renting it.
Very good point here. Never fire anyone if you're a boss. What are we talking about? One more right after this. It'll make sense.
You always say creative tools bring fresh results. What you got going on here?
Hash browns. I love making hash browns. It's one of my favorite breakfast treats. You can make them yourself or purchase some frozen pre-cooked potatoes. But the trick here, the one that I think is really standing out, if you want the crispiest hash browns, you don't have to cook them on the stove. Put them into your waffle iron. Just look how crispy they are. The waffle iron is perfect. It gets both sides of them. It steams them, then it gets them crunchy. Every time I make this for guests, they absolutely love it. And I think what I love about making these in the waffle iron is that the stove top doesn't get too greasy. It's effortless to make. You can chop them into triangles, put a poached egg on there, some bacon, some sausage.
I like it too. You know why?
Why?
Because then it's easier for me to clean up.
Happy day.
Happy day.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. Our next guest, Mark Morgenfrew, has a new book out. It's called Never Fire Anyone. And the book is basically about a new leadership model based on trust, empathy, and relationships strength. Mark joins us now, and we welcome him to Daily Flash. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so in your book, you're saying that trust and empathy builds relationships that actually go above and beyond and transcend the limits of traditional boss-employee models. But you got to explain that because it's such a tight line between boss and employee/friend, I imagine, right?
It absolutely is. I think inherently we all understand we can't do a lot of good things with others without trust in one another. And so the employment relationship is this positional relationship where I tell you what to do as a boss, you do what I ask you to do, and then there's this rating system, et cetera. And I think it doesn't erode trust or prevent trust, it just doesn't foster trust. And we all know that trust is the cornerstone of relationships. And if you can't have trust in one another, you can't do great things. And so that's what I think is foundational to the relationship of having core solid trust in one another. And then you translate that to relationships that people will run through walls for you if they know you care about them.
Well, I think you're right. And you said the word trust. It's huge. It's like, you give somebody an assignment, you trust that they'll finish it. And I imagine that trust needs to be built somewhere, and that's where the relationship comes along. You also say that having a good work relationship means you have to talk about the bad as well as the good. Are we talking about things they're not doing right if I'm a boss talking to the subordinate?
Well, the only way you're going to build trust is with candor and transparent communication. And that's the only way you're going to get to a good relationship. I'll give you an example. I had an area director and a regional manager. The area director came to me and said, so-and-so is just not cutting it. I don't understand what the issue is. And I said, listen, if you really care for this person, you have to have the tough conversation. You have to tell them what you're observing, what's not right, and get down to the root of the issue. Cut to the chase, come to find out it was a literacy issue. And the regional manager did wonderful work when he could look at a picture and build the item from the picture, but the paperwork was horrible because he had literacy issues, enrolled in English as a second language courses, and they have a rock solid relationship from that point forward. And it's because you simply just sit down as human beings, forget the relationship, Forget boss, peer, boss, subordinate, and just have a conversation like two grown people.
I like that idea. Now, you say never fire anyone. Okay, as a boss, I would imagine that is actually something, a new way of thinking. But what does that mean? Are you talking about really not firing anybody or what?
I do almost categorically. There are a few handful reasons, of course, that we can all understand. You just can't be here anymore. You steal, fraud, if you lie to a customer, things like that, violence in the workplace, things like that. I would even argue that somebody who's using illegal drugs in the workplace, it's a cry for help. If they are that addicted and they need help, that you shouldn't fire them. You should give them counseling and treatment and get them to a better place. But almost ostensibly, yes. What never fire anyone is as a model, it's a value, not values-based kind of corrective model.
Okay.
You have the talk where they're missing. You have them attempt to correct it. If they can't, you do what the military does. You are reassigned to a role and a pay class that allows you to contribute positively to the organization. And then you either redouble your efforts and you're successful, or the truly unhappy people at the end of the line self-select out of the organization.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And it's an environment. If you think about it, environment is something that's built by relationships, whatever they might be. Very interesting information here, Mark. Really appreciate it. And if maybe you're a boss, or maybe you want to become a boss, or maybe you just want a better work experience and you want to find out more information and get a copy of Mark's book. It's called Never Fire Anyone. Just check out neverfireanyone.com. We'll also have this interview on our website at dailyflashshow.com.
Mitch, thank you. And then there's this. It looks like buildings are now turning to something you'd never expect: ice batteries to keep cool without crushing energy bills. At Norton Audubon Hospital in Louisville, they freeze 74,000 gallons of water every night across 27 tanks. Now, during the day, that ice melts and chills water, cooling the building. It's especially critical for areas like operating rooms. Now, here's the idea. Freeze the water when electricity is cheap, like in off-peak hours, then use that stored cooling when rates and demand peak.
Oh, okay.
That reduces strain on the grid and trims power costs. Now, for those of you doing the math at home, get this. The hospital cut energy costs by $278,000 in the first year. They're looking at $4 million in savings within the next decade. It's a major plus. Ice has no fire risk compared to those lithium batteries as well, making it safer in sensitive settings. We're back right after this.
Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. It's Thursday. That means it's time for us to check in with Tony Toscano to find out what's coming out of Hollywood and straight to your screen, no matter what size you're going to watch it on. With the latest, here's Tony.
Thanks, Mitch. Streaming on Apple TV Plus is the animated children's series, The Sisters Grimm.
Welcome to Fairyport Landing.
Whoa! Sabrina! Daphne! The fairy tale characters you've read about are real, and your ancestors brought them to live here in Fairyport Landing.
Whoa! There's so many ever afters here.
I'm afraid you're going to start learning the truth about your parents.
We're descended from the Brothers Grimm?
In the series, two orphan sisters navigate a town full of people torn straight from fantasy and fairy tales. They confront heroes and villains alike while investigating the mystery of their missing parents. Lending their voices to the series are Ariel Winter and Lorraine Newman.
There's so many things in this show that I think help kids to reconcile the madness of the world, the wonder, the unexpected, which can be really disruptive for a child, very frightening for a child. And then you see characters that overcome. And I think that that's a wonderful thing to be modeled for kids.
Based on the popular book series, The Sisters Grimm is a wonderfully animated fantasy series teaching children about the value of teamwork and family. Again, you can check it out streaming on Apple TV Plus. It gets a B and is not rated. Streaming on most video-on-demand services is the comedy drama Love, Danielle.
I just need to get a closer look here. Is something wrong? I'm okay. It's okay.
Danielle, you've tested positive for the BRCA1 gene mutation. That means your lifetime risk of developing breast cancer is between 60 and 85%.
Sunlight.
Amid family drama and dysfunction, a woman who carries the BRCA gene mutation must decide whether or not to remove her breasts and ovaries to reduce her cancer risk. I chatted with star Devin Seidel.
It's based on my own personal experience. I mean, we had to obviously dramatize it a little bit to make it work in the time frame and to be entertaining for people. But I have the BRCA gene mutation, and I had these difficult decisions to make about whether or not I would undergo preventative surgeries. And it's something you don't think you're necessarily going to be faced with in your life, and then you find yourself in this situation. And, you know, it's about you get opinions from other people, which is what we tried to include in the film. And ultimately, it's your own decision. And we wanted to tell a story of empowerment because I personally felt quite empowered in making the decisions that I made.
Love, Danielle is a warm, touching, funny, and honest film about facing cancer. Devin Seidel shines in this story based on her own life. This is a must-see film. Again, Love, Danielle is streaming on most video-on-demand platforms and gets an A. It's not rated. For the Daily Flash, I'm film critic Tony Toscano.
Thank you there, Tony. Well, welcome to your Daily Digits for this week. Your first number today is 6, and that's NBA Hall of Famer Allen Iverson is now 6 months sober. Congrats to AI. Allen Iverson revealed that he is 6 months sober and has rekindled his relationship with his ex-wife, Tawana. He credits both milestones with helping him rebuild his life after years of personal struggles. Man, keep it up, AI. I mean, legend right there. All right, your next number today is 12, and I don't believe in this. I just don't. And you know what? I'm just gonna do this. The University of Michigan study found that drinking a single soft drink could cut 12 minutes from a healthy person's life, while eating a hot dog could cut out 36 minutes. However, if you replace 10% of your daily meal intake with plant-based foods, it could add up to 48 minutes to your lifespan, but who wants that? In my opinion, still get that soda at the end of your Costco day. Oh, that's just good right there. That's good. It's worth the 12 minutes. And your final number today is 33 million. That's the box office returns for this Friday's debut of Tron Ares. It's a 3-day weekend total in domestic ticket sales, and it only managed 33 million bucks. Disney's long-awaited reboot Tron Ares crashed at the box office, opening to just $33 million domestically, $27 million overseas for a global debut of $60.5 million, well below the projections with a $180 million production budget on top of another $100 million in promotions. The film's weak start puts the future of the 40-year-old sci-fi franchise in jeopardy. Here's what I think every studio should learn. Don't put Jared Leto in your stuff. It just doesn't work. It hasn't worked. It's not going to work. Stop it.
Everybody loves 30 seconds to Mars, right?
Yeah,
I mean, let Jared Leto, poor guy.
Yeah, but as a franchise person, it's not working.
Great.
Thank you there, Maddie. We got more coming up.
This is Daily Flash with your hosts, Andrea Jackson and Mitch English. Trending news and entertainment. This is Daily Flash.
Hi, everybody. I am Mitch English.
And I'm Andrea Jackson. This is Daily Flash, today's trends, tomorrow's talk. And Matt Doolittle taking a look at our stations across the nation.
219 beautiful affiliates all across this country, including the Armed Forces Network. And today we are heading out to KITM in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
You know what I learned this week? Hawaii has the biggest amount of porch pirates amongst all, next to New York in the country. Is that right? Yes.
Like if you order something from Amazon, they have a huge problem out there. Well, Honolulu, we got to do something about this. by all
Really?
means. But it's nice to know that Amazon's available out there.
But think about it. It's tough to get stuff in and out of the island, right? So if somebody gets a package delivered to their doorstep, you're like, what the heck is in
Right?
there? Yeah.
So-
I don't want to wait 6 months for whatever I'm getting from Amazon.
It's hard when you live in Honolulu. It's hard for us to think life is horrible.
Yeah, that is
but
true.
If Porch Pirate's the only thing you have to worry about, I think you're okay.
That's not too bad.
Not at all. And of course, a historic day that we went through this week here,
Yes.
and that, of course, is the release of the final hostages from Hamas had let go already.
Yes.
And they were in captivity for 738 days. The freed hostages, there was 20 of them, they were freed by Hamas in the latest release here. They aged from about age 21 to 48. Among them, they had some fraternal twins. And this is a really a landmark day of what has happened. We have gone through this. We hear about all of this disillusion that's happening over in the Middle East. And for this to happen is very momentous, for sure.
It's absolutely historic. And to think for the first time in our lifetime, there's actually peace in the Middle East, which is something that I don't think we've ever not been met with, the headlines and the constant news of the fighting and the conflict and everything that's been going on over there for decades.
And so many people too, for like, why are we doing that? They were like, why are they fighting over there? What's going on? It's been that long for their entire life. Obviously, families relieved to get their loved ones. They said they never gave up faith or hope. There's so many of these stories coming out. And unfortunately, though, Hamas also released the remains of 4 deceased hostages in that exchange. As well as they're demanding the immediate return of 24 of other hostages that they had.
Well,
on their side,
Israel has agreed to release several prisoners that they had, Palestinian prisoners. Hamas is yet to release 24 bodies back to Israel, so they are still waiting for those. They released 4 bodies, I believe, yesterday, and then 24 are expected to return home. So they're hoping that they'll be able to get to those bodies somehow.
So remember this week. Remember, it's a big day. I mean, what's going on there? And if you don't know, it's a great time to actually find out, all right, what has been happening for decades and centuries. It almost seems like.
And President Trump very instrumental in all of it. Obviously, bringing the right team together and working with the Middle East and the big leaders in the Middle East to help start to redevelop Gaza and that whole area. So he's depending on them to actually do their part. So it's really it's a group effort. But I think for the first time, peace and prosperity is really a priority for those folks.
All right, big day for sure. Other trending stories happening around here in America.
Yes, a medical helicopter crashed on a highway out in Northern California, wounding 3 people on board. In fact, 1 person seriously injured. The helicopter was returning from taking a patient to a Sacramento hospital when it experienced some kind of emergency. A pilot, nurse, and paramedic were taken to a nearby hospital. Police say it was a miracle no one on the highway was hurt by the crash.
And scary if you think about it. And we think about how many ambulance helicopters every time they do this, and they're at risk every time there's life flights. And this is also coupled with what had happened in Huntington Beach, where it got caught on camera as well with this helicopter, how they survived.
I don't know.
Right by the highway as well.
And that was a stunt pilot that was piloting that helicopter aircraft. And it's crazy to think that, very few people were harmed on the ground. Then I don't know if you heard about this story in New York during the nor'easter. Some poor woman was hit and killed by a flying solar panel.
Yeah, it knocked off because of that
Yeah, from the nor'easter.
So you think about that, with everything up in the skies is the last place you think, hey, let's get drones and let's start flying everywhere.
You know who would have been the best pilot for all that?
Who's that?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise
wouldn't have crashed it.
Great, yeah.
Not at all.
And then I think a wind turbine over in Europe hit and killed. It fell off the windmill and hit and killed somebody.
Too much wind.
Too much.
Stay out of the wind. We will breeze right through this commercial break and we'll have more right after this.
Get your things. Just get.
Stay with us. We're back right after this.
Hey, Mitchie.
Hey, Jackson.
Yeah, I want to talk about that big story coming out of Hollywood.
Hold on. Wait. I want to get Matt in on this call, all right? Hold on.
Hey, what's up, Mitch and Dias?
Matty!
Mitchie.
Mateus.
Mitch, my man.
Matty of Berkshire.
What's going on?
Hey, AJ wants us to talk about a big story that's happening.
This kid, the Kiki, says hi. He has his own Instagram.
That's great, Matt, but I really want to talk about this big story coming out of Hollywood.
Oh, dog and cat!
You should check it out. This kid, the Kiki.
I want to know what's going on.
What?
Oh, okay, so real quick. Why does he still have a dial-up modem?
Hey, I gotta get back to wrestling stuff.
It's on the music.
You know what? Maybe we should just try this later.
Okay, all right. Peace and love.
Daily Flash.
Where are you?
It's just better when you're part of the conversation. Join us online.
Household brand Arm & Hammer is inspiring students to take their creativity to new heights. Here's their story.
Ready, lift, takeoff. Arm & Hammer is once again taking creativity, arts, and science to new heights this week for its second annual Rocket Day, inspiring students all across the country to get involved in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Rocket Day was celebrated in more than 18,000 classrooms across the country, including this one in Queens, New York at PS 127, where scientist, aerospace engineer, TV host, and best-selling author Emily Calandrelli, known as the Space Gal, was on hand.
We just launched hundreds of baking soda rockets. It's one of my favorite science experiments. It's easy to do, and the kids love it. A baking soda rocket is one of those perfect science experiments because it uses household ingredients like Arm & Hammer baking soda and other easily accessible ingredients like vinegar and pencils and tape. And so you don't need much.
Calandrelli says this day isn't just about launching rockets, it's about launching futures and inspiring the next generation of scientists, engineers, artists, and innovators.
The goal is to provide kids from all backgrounds an accessible and exciting way to explore STEAM by combining the everyday magic of Arm & Hammer baking soda and hands-on creativity. We are sparking that imagination, that curiosity in kids, which is something that Arm & Hammer has supported for years.
Calandrelli knows firsthand how life-changing these experiences can be.
The other thing that happened in the last year is that I flew to space myself. And so this year, not only were they building the rockets themselves, they got to watch my rocket launch, and hopefully that ignited the spark of curiosity in them to see themselves perhaps doing the same thing. Arm & Hammer baking soda is one of the most accessible science experiment ingredients. It's so cheap. I use it in everything. It's touch safe. It's taste safe. So one of my favorite ones is simply Arm & Hammer baking soda and vinegar, a little bit of food coloring. You can make rainbow bubbles. If you put that science experiment inside of a paint can and shut the lid, you can make a paint can rocket. You can put it in a cauldron and make witch's brew. There's so many things you can do.
Visit bakingsodarocket.com to see how you can get involved beyond Rocket Day. And for more hands-on fun with baking soda, go to armandhammer.com/steam.
This is Tim. Tim is all about time. And if you've ever had a chance to look into Tim's cold, dead eyes, you'll see that it's time for you to follow us on social media. Sure, there's 10,000 social sites out there, and we don't have the time to name them all. Seriously, just ask Tim. So take the time to look for Daily Flash TV on your favorite social sites and start following us. That's all the time, Tim. Goodbye.
Well, the Michaud Film Festival exists to uplift storytellers, to expand access, and spotlight visionary work from voices that shape culture. And we are thrilled to be speaking with co-founder Noel Bromf of the 7th Annual Michaud Film Festival, taking place October 23rd through 26th. It's happening in Culver City, California. Good morning, Noel. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. Okay, first, did your personal experiences in the film industry actually lead you and your co-founder to create the Michaud Film Festival? Tell us more about that.
It did. So as a filmmaker myself, back in 2015, I had a chance encounter with actually a production assistant who was homeless, and he was living in a he was living in a tent encampment that was 2 blocks away from the apartment complex I just moved out of. And here was someone working 13, 14 hours a day. And I realized, and my co-founder, that we needed to create a space and a platform where artists can feel like they can call something home. And so we founded the Michaud Film Festival, number one, to honor Oscar Michaud, who was an independent and prolific Black filmmaker who from the 1920s to the 1940s wrote, directed, and produced over 44 feature films. But he did it operating outside of the traditional Hollywood commercial financing system with the goal of bringing together the community and ultimately creating a bridge between opposite worlds. So since our founding in 2018, we've been able to work with companies like Sony Pictures, Amazon, MGM, in addition to Panavision, where we've given away over $300,000 in the form of grants. So certainly been an incredible experience and the impact that we've made.
Let's talk about some of the biggest challenges maybe that's facing these filmmakers. What do you see it is, and how does the festival actually aim to address them?
Well, the biggest one right now is that the industry is in flux. And with the business evolving and changing, business models, and we're seeing more studios cut back as it relates to financing and supporting not only commercial projects, but certainly independent ones. So if there's ever a time and a need to support independent platforms that are still amplifying the filmmakers who are pretty much pulling pennies together to get their projects done, that time is now, and it's with the Micheaux Film Festival.
All right, folks out there want to find out more. Maybe they can actually get involved as well. Where do you want them to go to find out more information?
Yes, please connect with us at MichauxFilmFest.com. And you can also follow us at Micheaux Film Fest on all platforms.
Fantastic. What we'll do too is we'll put links on our website at dailyflashshow.com/FMI.
A new nationwide survey from Myriad Genetics shows many women fear cancer screenings. Here's more information on how women can take control of their health.
My mother had breast cancer. My grandfather had male breast cancer and his mother as well. So I knew I had a long history of breast cancer in my family. I brought that to my provider and discussed the MyRisk hereditary cancer screening test. And I did go ahead and have that done. I did find out that I was BRCA2 mutation positive, and that gave me the power to make choices in my healthcare.
I tell my patients that, no news is not necessarily good news. If you have an abnormal family history of cancer, ask if you have the following risk factors: a family history of cancer that's diagnosed at a young age, multiples of the same type of cancers on the same side of the family, rare cancers like ovarian or pancreatic cancer. If yes, I offer the MyRisk hereditary cancer test with risk score. It can help determine if you have an inherited genetic mutation that increases your risk for hereditary cancers. Understanding your results can empower you and me to create a personalized plan to manage your cancer risk and take proactive steps for your health. To learn more, visit getmyrisk.com.
1 in 5 adults in the United States struggles with daily mental health challenges, but research shows that animals, especially cats, can actually make a difference, even reducing stress. Joining us today are two experts here to discuss Purina's new cat project. Welcome, Dr. Voluska and Annie Peters.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Annie, why is it so important to actually talk about mental health and actually the role that pets play?
Well, as you said, 1 in 5 of us experiencing daily mental health challenges, and for Gen Z, it's even worse. That's concerning. But at Pet Partners, we value the human-animal bond, and we understand the impact of what's called animal-assisted interventions can have on our mental health. So that's why we're partnering with Cat Chow, because Cat Chow understands it too. So we're working together on the Cats as Therapy Project, the CAT Project, to bring the healing power of therapy cats to more people.
And Dr. Voluska, can you tell us more about the healing power of cats?
Well, as you well know, cats are incredible. One study found that college students who spent just 10 minutes petting a cat experienced a measurable drop in cortisol. So just that brief interaction reduced their stress. And the benefit goes both ways. Studies have also found that interactions with people can improve cat well-being.
Where can folks go if they want more info?
For more information, go to catchow.com/catproject.
Thank you both for joining us. We'll make sure we put this on our website at dailyflashshow.com/FMI.
Harvard Kennedy School is launching the American Service Fellowship. It's the largest single-year scholarship program in its history. Adam Farina of the Harvard Kennedy School has more.
The American Service Fellowship is a new scholarship program that is going to provide a full scholarship and a stipend to 50 public servants all across America from all different backgrounds to come to Harvard Kennedy School and get a public policy education and a master's degree. And the eligibility for it is really straightforward. All you need is an undergraduate degree and to have served our country for at least 7 years in any capacity, whether as a veteran, a teacher, a police officer, a firefighter, you name it. So we want to to invest in those people who have spent their lives running toward big challenges rather than away from them, and give them the tools here at Harvard Kennedy School to take the next step in their public service careers and lead both our country and their communities into the future. You can visit us online at ken.sc/service, or just Google us and Google the American Service Fellowship online. It's a quick and easy application. We want you to apply by December 1st, and we'll make sure to get you an answer in the spring for coming to the school next fall.
It's here. We're talking about open enrollment. Joining us now to help sort through the noise is Dr. Rhonda Randall. She's from United Healthcare.
Open enrollment season is here, and it's a great opportunity to make sure your health plan still works for your needs and budget. It's important to keep in mind that enrollment periods vary depending on how you get your health insurance. If you're on an employer plan, it usually happens between now and the end of the year. For Medicare, the annual enrollment period runs from October 15th through December the 7th. And for the health insurance marketplace, most states it runs from November 1st through January 15th. When you're comparing plans, look beyond the monthly premiums. Check that your doctor and your prescriptions are covered. Review mental health and wellness benefits. And see if extras like dental, vision, and hearing programs are included. Digital tools and 24/7 virtual visits can also make care more convenient. And with so much misleading information online, always check the source. If something seems unclear or too good to be true, ask your doctor or your health plan before making changes. For more, visit uhcopenenrollment.com.
Welcome back to Daily Flash. A man struggles to keep up with his fast-rising debts until he is offered a lifeline by the mysterious casino employee with secrets of her own. This is today's must-watch movie, Ballad of a Small Player.
Macau, gambling capital of the universe. Here, card games can change your life in an instant. My name is Doyle. Lord Doyle.
Mr. Riley? You stole a considerable sum of money from a client.
I've made some mistakes, right? Who hasn't?
You have 24 hours.
I'm not a criminal.
You stole that money from a helpless old woman. No more credit.
Look. I find myself in a bit of a bind.
You're just a nice working-class Irish boy in way over his head.
I'm about to win big. And when I do, I won't just pay my debts off, I'll pay yours too.
What I see is a man way beyond any redemption.
But I still have a soul.
The realm of the hungry ghosts is for people driven by greed.
Just give me one more hand. I can pay you.
It's not too late for you.
Not so lucky after all, huh?
It'd take a miracle to change a man like me.
Ooh, that looks so good.
He is an amazing actor.
I love Colin Farrell.
After The Penguin, I said this guy is just incredible. That's your must-watch.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for joining us today.
Yeah, for more information on any of today's stories, be sure to visit dailyflashshow.com. Be good, everybody.
We'll see you when we look at you. Bye-bye.